This is just AMZN on Wednesday, March 11th, 2020. Taking a look at the 5-minute here. I talked about some consolidation in this area, like we were making a bit of a triangle here, and actually I think it was a wider triangle because I think this area was inside of it. The way I just drew this, it looks like, oh yeah, oops, sorry. Let me undo that. There we go. The way I just drew that looks like we actually opened below, which I guess somewhat we did. Consolidated here, it looked like we kind of retested this kind of rollover with a nice S curve, and then went lower. Overall, yeah, it looks like things are going lower. I'm doing this late enough on Wednesday. There was an announcement earlier tonight by the President of the United States that anyway, there's just a lot of things going on besides just how this is trading, and so there's still a lot of fear, and that's driving a lot of things lower. So we'll see what happens at open. I would guess that things are going to open much lower than they closed. I would not be surprised if we're back down in this range, possibly opening up below this low. I think if that happens, there may be a fairly good chance of a fade here. We move back up, come back into about 1800, 1815, and then it's decision point. At that point, it would be a retest of what looks like is becoming a bit of a support here from below to see if that'll hold as resistance. So we had this level of 1815 as a resistance for a while. We held above it before earnings. We held above it. What was this last week? The week before last, on the 28th. And then we had this candle get down below it, got back above, and looked like we were holding it today. We at least closed above. We had some wicking down, which is fine. It can do that as long as we don't get a close below. I don't know if we'll get a close below. I don't know if we'll gap down and fade and go running back up and get back into this range. We'll just have to wait and see. But I would not be surprised if it gaps down, and because it's a bearish retest gap, that it actually fades and moves bullish for a while. And for a while, I mean maybe half an hour to an hour, and then we'll really have to see where things go. Coming back in here to the 5-minute, again, with the retest up here, it got back into 1863.84 and almost got there again here. This was a really nice 5-minute consolidation, making slightly higher lows, making lower highs. Looked like it was breaking out. It's like, great, bulls are rushing in. You see the volume spike with bulls getting in, and then it collapsed. And I was looking at this, it's like, this is too easy for a trap, and didn't get in and didn't play it at all today. Just because things were really spready, and I wasn't really sure that we were going to sell off. Obviously, hindsight, yes, we clearly did. I thought we would hold this low next. I was looking for it to get into 1815 and bounce. It did not. It took that out, and then kind of chopped around at this price too. Once it got below these lows, really once it got this close right here, and then retesting from below, then it did a stair step. This was a great place to go short. All the other places in here, there were bullish fake outs. You had kind of a nice high wave candle here that broke out, and I've got my eye kind of on some higher highs with wicks like this. Looked really similar to some things happening back in here when we were making all-time highs. We just had a lot of upper wicks showing there was a lot of bulls still buying up here and bears coming in. And it's very similar on the 5-minute here. We had, bulls pushing this up and the bears starting to come in. And once it started to roll over, that was it. You had a really nice hammer. Let me zoom in on this. Really nice hammer type candle here, and we didn't get back above that. Didn't get back above 1863.84. Stayed below it. There were some opportunities to get into calls, to get into puts. This is a 1950 call that we've been looking at. You could see it had a tighter range in here. It looks like it kind of went backwards. Just that's the premium getting sucked out. So, we opened up here, pulled back, and then started to rally from there. But, obviously it didn't rally back up high enough. This was just the premium being drained out as it made, on the 5-minute higher move, but on the option it definitely did not. we just continue making lower highs, lower lows pretty much all day. We flattened out a little bit into the afternoon. Scalping some things could have worked, but again, this is the 1950, and it was getting really spready. If we look at 1925, let's see what happened at 1925. This is the options expiring this week. Really light volume. I don't like that volume at all. Let's look at 1900. Much more expensive. Maybe there are some plays later in the day. Let's see what we could have done here. Put a low around 6. I guess you could have bought this second low here. After I made this low, get in here. What was happening at 225? Oops. Okay, so I made a slightly lower low on the stock, but didn't make it on the option. But yeah, I mean, with this kind of rollover increase in volume, you would have been going counter trend at this point. You would have been scalping to get back up to 1815. So if you did that, maybe you made, you got in at 6 and got out at 7, maybe 8, maybe an R or 2, going counter trend on that. Now looking at the puts, this was a high wave candle right before we got a breakdown. So this was kind of the last chance for it to hold the 1941.30 price. Getting in on this candle at 1135 or this candle at 1140 were your bearish opportunities. So 1135, 1140. So this is the 1700 put we've been looking at. It would have really been buying about 350. But to get a stop down at 2, 3 by 2 would have been really, it seems really wide and would have gone below the low. And getting a stop in here at 350 by 250, again, it doesn't seem like it's wide enough. I wouldn't want to go that much further away with puts. But you can see they moved really well. Like they made, steps of higher highs and higher lows. If you came in a little closer, you needed an even bigger R to do that. Yeah, this you would have just had to trade 8 by 7 right up in here, and I don't even know if it would have been filled. 798 probably wouldn't even been filled there. It held above that really nicely with the 1750. The volume's okay here. Just a couple little lines here. But if you go further away, the move is like this is 1650. There's still a move there, but it's just a lot smaller, a lot more scarce. Traders, you could have done an absolute zero, buying at 1, flipped it out at 4. That's crazy. I mean, it happens. It definitely happens. It's just this is a 1650 put. This is nearly $200, $150 out of the money, expiring in 2 days, and it's still, give you some value here. What time was that? 11:35, 11:40. Buying 150, buying at 150 and getting out at 253, doubling it, 350. So you still could have made 2R, even going this far away. That's crazy. So a lot of this premium is going to dry up. Well, let me say it again. If we do move significantly lower, let's say we get down into 1747. Let's say we take out the slow, get down to 1747. The 1650 put is actually going to be worth something. Like I said, I would anticipate a fade, and we move back up probably to 1815. I don't have any more lines in here. Let's see if I have some more in here. No, I don't have any other lines in here. But I would anticipate a similar candle to this, just because we're moving that much further down, and that would be another low in a row. And like I said, we've done this kind of thing. We did it here. We made these lower lows. We're just doing a whole lot faster. Let's see. If I do line something up like this, it just doesn't even line up with anything. It's just crazy to think about. So if I line this up with like some of the highs here and line up the low, the lows don't even line up too much. But if we get a move, where'd that go? Oh, it's still over here. If we get a move down in this range, I mean, it'll be similar to this, where we gap down for a bearish candle and fade back up. We've done that all through here, we had a bearish candle, gap down, faded up, bearish candle, gap down, faded up, bearish candle, gap down, and I don't know when first, if it rolled down and then faded and then went back down, but a nice high wave candle. So we'll see if we do something like that again. I don't know that I want to leave this on here. It's not really guiding anything. It's not lining up with anything. So I think I'll wait on the placement of this until we have maybe another low. We can try and connect things depending on where it goes. So anyway, I'm just trying to get an idea of where, how steep this is. I mean, this is steeper than this kind of steepness, and this steepness is the same as the other one. So, maybe there's some angles changing on this. I don't know that we're going to get down to 1600s tomorrow. Obviously, that'd be the next nice place to be buying is at the low of this channel, which if it were to get down there this week even would be 1630s over the next 2 days. But I don't know that it's going to do that. I think we're going to gap down and fade. I think we're going to move back up. I think this is coming into these lows, into the 1747, 1727. What was that price? Nope, not what I wanted to do. It's been a while since I've talked about these prices. I'm trying to remember what they were. I thought it was 1727.80 and then 1714.50. So I don't know if they're going to show up on here. No, they're not going to show up on here. 1747 does. Actually, I can do this. There we go. Okay, 1727.80. Yep. 1714.50. Yep. And then 1665.27. Those are the next couple numbers I have in mind. But I mean, there's a lot of pivots in here. So that's where I'm looking. If it were to come down to 1750 area and then bounce, that'd be great. And I mean, it wasn't so long ago. It was going back to over in here that we were bouncing off this. There's a lot of people buying in here, a lot of support in here. That's the next area to break through, going lower. That would really signal, okay, this is starting to look more and more like this one, where we came down to the lows, and now if we can take out a low, something has definitely changed. We held this relatively. This low was below here, so we definitely were making lower lows from even this point and this point. If we make yet again another low, I think it's going to start to look something more like this, where we're not sure which low is the next one, or the one that we'll bounce at. So I don't know that we'll have an open above this low to say, oh, here's a higher low. I don't know that we're ready for that. But again, looking at this a little bit wider, not that. Looking at this a little bit wider, let me go over, I think it was the 30 minute. Yeah. There's some bigger triangles going on here still. They could be massive. They could be, different patterns, but I'm starting to see just the general lower highs and some higher lows right here. Depending on where we open up, it's going to show, okay, are we making a new trend, making lower lows in here, matching the lower highs. So if I were to draw that, let me see what that would look like. I'm not saying it's any value to look for tomorrow. I'm just saying if we're to like that, so I'm just going to draw it in here. Maybe something like this. That means we're in this sort of like a downtrend channel with some really wide ranges. I mean, really, really wide. So this is hundreds of points, or what is it, like about 200 points range. That's pretty significant. And it's not really settling out yet, just the moves that we had. So where does that leave us for tomorrow? Let me see if this will work. Okay, so flipping that back in here, if that means coming down into a little bit lower than 1747, and then seeing if we can get a bounce like this did. But if we get a bounce and don't even make it back up here, to 1900, then yeah, we maybe due for some lower moves. I think I sketched this on here last night. I drew it on another chart I was looking at during the day today, and I don't have it in here, but I was talking about this being like a triangle here, and then thought this was another triangle here, and at this point it was just kind of battling triangles. Are we going to go up? Obviously we went down from that one, and then for this one, are we going to go down? Are we going to go up? I talked about some consolidation in this area, and we really did it right on this kind of a low. And then I think this was a retest of that, and then it broke down. So we'll see if we can get an S curve. If we have any sort of a move higher than where the futures are looking like it's going to be now. But it looks like we'll have a bigger gap down here. And then from down here, I would expect a fade back up. And I don't know that's going to get back up into 1900, but a movement back up into, just like we did here, 1850, 40, 1860, I just forgot, 1863, 84, 1880, and 05. So we'll see if we can run into these same levels on our way back up, but look for moves similar to this in the morning. That's what I'm looking for. So if we go deeper back in on this one, let me turn this off. Why is it still? Oh, I'm turning off the wrong thing. Arrow. There we go. Come back to this one this day. We had quick bearish candle, really, really small hammer, and just a rally. And that's what I would like to see. For being a Thursday, now we're just looking at calls, 1900 calls. These are probably going to open around $1. You could buy 1900 calls for $1 right at the open, is my guess. I've set up alerts for that before. Sometimes I should have just set up a trade to buy at $1 and just do it as an absolute zero and just let it run. Because normally if you wait to get alerted and then set it up, it doesn't work. Let's see if we look at like the 1880 strike. What is that doing? So yeah, this is, it was a little light, but it's 1880. It's an off number. But if that's a strike we think we'll get into. So it was in the $10 range, 10 down to 9.83 here. This will probably open up around like 3, I guess. Maybe not even that much. It all depends on how low we open, but that's what I'm anticipating is open really low, but we'll have to wait and see. If we open flat, that'll actually be somewhat interesting because it means that this isn't ready to sell. This is not ready to sell off, and this is possibly going to turn into a bounce, or at least a rally back up into that triangle or back into the 1900 price, and we might triangle again, and then maybe get back above. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But check the pre-market prices. Look for some of these levels. Look for some levels to hold. If you want to get into an absolute zero, obviously it's your choice for what you're going to trade. You click the mouse. I'll be looking for a fade for something bullish, and just doing that as a day trade unless I can get into a couple of them, and then hold into it the next day. But I've seen swings that have not been working too well. I was in a swing yesterday that I was really glad I closed out. I was debating, do I close this out? I closed it out right at 259 Central for a small win. And I think it was worth like nothing at open today because it moved back down. So be nimble, get in and out, when it's moving your direction, or trail up your stop, or just know that whatever amount you're going to go up, you could still lose it all and lose all the way down to your risk or then some if there's some slippage. But yeah, that's what I got. Hope this helps. This is Justin AMZN. Thanks.